Hi, hello，大家好，欢迎光临 Let's Talk。下次我时候说中文我没翻译，所以在这个视频我会翻译。我想要你们明白我。今天我想要说四个题目。Snap is one topic. Head Start is another. We're also going to talk about heating assistance and healthcare. So, welcome everybody to another Let's Talk. Um, I hope everyone is doing well. There's a lot of things that I want to talk about. Originally, I was going to do this last week, but I did not get a chance to. So here I am today talking with you all. Um, so I really wanted to talk about Snap last week because that was a big story. As people were going to be without their benefits come November 1st. Um, but then there was a court order which we'll get into. Um, so yeah, I wanted to talk about Snap last week because like there was a lot of discourse, especially on social media about it. So I wanted to talk about that, and then this week I was going to actually talk uh, about ICE and compared to like the brown shirts back in Nazi Germany because there are a lot of similarities there. But I'll do that next week. So as you all know, Snap was slated to um, not release funds because of the shutdown, and that was going to happen on November 1st. November 1st came around, and people did not receive their SNAP benefits. However, there was something that happened, and that was that a court ordered the Trump administration to actually they ordered them to use the contingency funds to roll out SNAP benefits, and the order was to either um, partially use those contingency funds or use all the contingency funds, um, but it has to be done. Now, originally, the Trump administration, they weren't going to do anything about it um, to get help people get through the shutdown and be able to purchase food. Um, and so they were, the Republicans were saying, "Oh, we can't release these funds because the Democrats won't reopen up the government." Um, and as such, and also we can't tap into those contingency funds because there's not an emergency. They were saying that, oh, if we want to do that, then there has to be like a natural disaster or something of along those lines for them to tap into the contingency funds and roll out SNAP benefits. Now this judge in their decision say like this is an emergency. People will go hungry if they can't buy food, right? Um, so that happened. That was a small win. As I don't know, like states are rolling it out um, as quickly as possible. I just saw that Michigan, um, those who receive SNAP will get it by Saturday, actually, the 8th, which is good news. It does suck that people have had to wait. I'm sure people have had to cut back for this past week as to what they eat. A lot of families making sure their kids are able to eat, making sure that if they have elderly family members, make sure they eat, that kind of thing. Having to make the decision about to skip a meal is not great. Um, so yeah, small win there, and then actually Trump was like, you know what? No, we're actually not going to. Uh, or okay, so before I get to that, the Trump administration was saying, okay, we hear the court order, and sure, we'll go ahead and roll out SNAP benefits using the contingency funds, but we need the court to tell us how to do it, that kind of thing, right? Um, it's kind of funny that they would be like, oh yeah, we gotta look to the court this time around, because they have famously just ignored court orders um, quite a few times in the last 10 months. Um, but yeah, it's quite despicable that they would do that, and then Trump went back on it, posted on Truth Social or whatever the fuck that is. Like, hey, actually, we're not going to release these contingency funds because fuck y'all. Basically, is what he was saying. Um, just truly despicable. The the Republicans are they're showing, honestly, just they are showing their evil side to everybody. The Republicans don't give a shit about Americans. They don't. They have literally been trying to throw people under the bus this entire time. Okay, we'll get into the healthcare debate, but they're literally Democrats essentially are trying to protect healthcare for all Americans by doing what they're doing, and the Republicans are saying, "Oh no, we have to take away healthcare because illegal immigrants are getting the resources." Like that, just that undercuts everything. They're in saying that, they're saying, no, we're going to take away healthcare and we're just going to blame it on migrants. All right, SNAP. They're saying, there's a lot of discourse, but even the Republicans are saying, like, yeah, I don't know, man. People seem to be buying too much food on this on SNAP, man. We gotta do something about black people using SNAP, that kind of thing. Like they're getting really racist with it in an attempt to manufacture consent to just axe the whole thing. Um, and like so the discourse on Twitter is they've been posting like rage bait last week. They were posting rage bait. They were posting AI videos of of black women, and they were all like pretty much all the same. Like sometimes the faces were different, but it was like the same script. It was the same exact script every time. It was like, oh, I have seven kids with seven different baby daddies, yada yada, all these racist stereotypes, throwing that out there and saying that the taxpayers need to pay for them to feed their children, that kind of thing. Like, oh, well, if you really need to buy food, then you need to get a job, type thing. And then they were posting AI videos of white families, and these videos, they followed the script too. However, they painted them in a better light, saying like SNAP is getting ready, is not coming out. That's okay. I'm a true patriot and I'm gonna go get a job, type thing. Just wild shit. Um, just coming out on that discourse, wildly racist, um, and and xenophobic even, because there was like there's like a chart that came out like, oh, this is how many people from this nationality that are using SNAP, and people were just like looking at them like, oh my god, 46% of like Afghan nationals are using SNAP. That's they're using it too much. Like, meanwhile, there's like 100,000 Afghan nationals in America, and like the thing with that too is If you're a naturalized citizen, you you may be eligible to get SNAP. That's something, but at that point you're an American citizen, right? Households, um, households that have one one migrant parent, because they're married to an American citizen, that family is eligible for SNAP. Um, and also, it's like it's a percentage of how many people there are. Like, um, I was watching Hassan Piker, and he made a really good analogy. It's like he said, if you brought in 5 people from Burma and all 5 of them received SNAP, you could say 100% of them received SNAP, but it's only 5 people. That's what that graph was doing, which is why like it even showed like the percentage of white people that were receiving SNAP, and it was like 8%, not accounting for the fact that the vast majority, the population in this country is overwhelmingly white, right? It's like 66% of all U.S. citizens are white. So it doesn't, the graph didn't represent what people thought it was representing. And even though people started pointing it out, they're like, oh well, you know what I mean? Um, so yeah, and things just got really racist last week. Like even for like Halloween, you had these white supremacist streamers going viral on Twitter because they were posting themselves in their Halloween costume, which was them in blackface, pretending to use Snap to buy food. It was the most disgusting fucking thing I have seen in so long. It's it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing just how racist and bigoted the right is becoming, and it's only going to get worse. They're just allowing this stuff to happen in their ranks. They don't care. JD Vance, the vice president, say he didn't care. He did not care when the leaks came out from those young Republicans that were being anti-Semitic, racist, and talking about gas chambers. Like he said, I don't care. He went on live television and said, I don't care. That is the route that the right is going, which makes, yeah. But then they want to cry when dark woke hits, right? So, anyways, so yeah, that was the discourse last week, and a lot. So it got really racist, and especially with the stereotypes. And then there were, again, I want to go back to the working part. They're like, oh, if you need food, then you shouldn't be getting money from the taxpayers to buy your food or whatever, right? Mind you, $36 a month is what the taxpayers pay into SNAP. Okay, and then um and then like and then it goes into um you should you need to get a job instead of relying on taxpayer money to for you to be able to buy food for you and your family. And it's just like the most tone deaf thing. People are clearly have no idea what they're talking about, as the vast majority of people who can work and are on SNAP do work. As a matter of fact, many of them have more than one job. Okay, so and then you have a big chunk that are children. I guess they just want children to go into the mines and work. I guess that's what their argument is. And then you also have disabled and the elderly that are also on SNAP and rely heavily on SNAP to be able to feed themselves. And where was I going with this? And so it just it became completely tone deaf. And so when people start pointing out like, hey, a lot of these people work and um still have to receive SNAP, the conversation then became, okay, well, why do we have 42 million people on SNAP? It seems like they're not being very smart with their money or whatever. And it's just like, hey, no, the actual question is the question is not why are there so many people who on SNAP. The question is, or I can't remember exactly how they framed it. The question is, why is it that in the richest country in the world and in history, do people have to? Why do people work, make so little, doing grueling and backbreaking work, and they're making so little that they can barely afford to uh, uh, make so they're not making enough to cover rent, bills, and food. Why is that system in place? Why aren't they making enough to why aren't they not making a living wage? That's the question. That's the real question here. Not why do we have 42 million people draining our system, right? Um that's that question. It doesn't, you're just being classist at that point. I mean, and a lot of this is classism, a lot of it is racism, and they're trying to craft an argument to take away people's ability to get food. I mean, this is just an off, a side note, but like this administration has thrown out the idea of doing like work camps for the homeless. By the way, that's just a thing. Um, the other thing I wanted to bring up real quick too is that people I have seen this argument too. This argument is like um uh what was it? Oh, like you want the left wants the government to control food and feed people or whatever, right? And there's like, well, look how, and now EBT is not rolling out. This is what happens when you rely on, sorry, this is what happens when you rely on the government to feed the people. And it's like, hey, like this was like it's a argument against socialism or communism, right? And it's just like, because the communism and socialism, they've only made people have to get food from bread lines. Like look at the bread lines in the and through history in communist and socialist countries. I'm like, hey, not only are you not telling the full story of those countries, but you're also not considering the fact that people go to food pantries in this country all the time. Last I checked, we're not a socialist country. We're a capitalist country where people can't afford food, so they end up going to the fucking food banks to get food. They have to rely on SNAP because they don't make enough working the 2 3 jobs that they are making to buy food for themselves and their kids. And that is a fucking terrible system. And if you tell me that it's not, you are a piece of shit. The system that we live under right now is literally made so that people are subservient and will work for pennies just to try to get by, selling them the dream that, oh, if you work hard enough then you'll get the bag, you'll get your bag. That's not how it works. That's just not how it fucking works. And we shouldn't have people going fucking hungry in this country. And it pisses me off that people are just like, oh, they're just lazy. Like, no, they're not lazy. You know who's a lazy motherfucker? Elon Musk. Posting. All he does is spend his fucking time on Twitter, making it shittier and shittier and shittier every fucking day. You got Nazis on there, and they are the loudest fucking voices on the platform, man. God damn. All the Islamophobia, all the xenophobia. I got called a sand N word the other day. Like, what the fuck? It's just it pisses me off. Just this idea that it's just okay to let people go hungry. They don't give a fuck if uh I have the stats here. It's oh my god. Where because I thought I had the um the amount of children. I mean, nationally, 62% of all SNAP benefits go to families with children. Children make up a huge chunk uh of SNAP benefits, and it's just like you're just like you're such a shitty person. You want kids to go hungry. Like that's the pro life crowd, by the way. The pro life crowd that screams about women deciding whether or not that they're ready for pregnancy, you know what I mean, or that they need to get an abortion because they're at risk, or they, the baby has passed and they need to get that procedure because otherwise it's life threatening. And it's like, no, you don't get to do that. But after the baby's born, we don't give a fuck what happens. We don't give a fuck. Let the children go hungry. As a matter of fact, make the kids work. If they want, if the kids are hungry, make them work. That's their argument, and it's disgusting. It's so goddamn disgusting. And honestly, and like the Democrats, they need to message around this. Like, hey, the Republicans and their camp, they want people to go hungry. Look at just tell people look at Twitter because this administration is getting their notes from Twitter. They're the ones who want you to go hungry. They want your kids to go hungry. They want your elderly parents to go hungry. They want your disabled family members to go hungry. They don't give a fuck. And you know what the Democrats can literally say this. Project 2025 was slated to cut billions from SNAP anyway. The Republicans are dirty, man. They are so bad for Americans, especially now. And it's only going to get worse. They're only going to go farther and farther right because it is the only way for them to go. Look at how they are acting, just excusing racism and anti-Semitism in their ranks. They don't give a fuck. It has to go farther and farther. You have neo Nazis now gaining prominence. Look at Nick Fuentes. It's fucking unreal. Anyways, I have whew, sorry, y'all, I got heated. I just okay. All right, I have an article here. Um, Give me just a second. Uh, okay. All right. So this is an article on the Hill. about Trump withholding benefits, SNAP benefits. President Trump signaled Tuesday that he would be withholding supplemental nutrition assistance program, SNAP benefits, until radical left Democrats open up the government, as many states grapple with a lapse in federal funding. That's what I was talking about. Um, After that court order, he was like, okay, yeah, we'll do it. And then he was like, no, we're not gonna fucking do it because fuck Americans, that kind of thing, right? Trump, in a post on Truth Social, wrote SNAP benefits, which increased by billions and billions of dollars, manyfold, during crooked Joe Biden's disastrous term in office, due to the fact that they were haphazardly handed to everyone for the asking, as opposed to just those in need, which is the purpose of SNAP, will be given only when the radical left Democrats open up the government, which they can easily do, and not before. Like, this is sickening. This is just so sickening. They're doing partisan politics and playing with people's lifelines. This is not okay. This is such a bad look, and the Democrats can literally capitalize on this and talk about how the president wants you to go hungry. Just talk about it, Jeffries. Talk about it, Schumer. Tell the people what they need to hear, that Trump is willing to let you go hungry for a fucking political win. It's so stupid. It's so stupid now. And also, Trump is trying to nuke the filibuster. He's making his own party look bad. So it's like, at least we have that. Um, yeah, and it's just like, I like I also don't know like how true it is that more like there are more people on Snap, and that is literally as a result of increase in the wealth gap. Like, people are making less money, people are losing jobs. Oh my god, the layoffs that just happened, I mean, in the tens of thousands in multiple sectors. Like, it's crazy. People are losing their jobs left and right now, especially. But like, even before, during Biden's term, they might have, I'm not sure. They may have made it easier for people to receive SNAP benefits, but it differs among states. Um, which is something I wanted to bring up. I'll bring it up in a little bit. Um, but for some states, it's easier for people to receive SNAP benefits, and for other states, it's harder to to gain those benefits, and it's harder to keep them even. Um, so at some point there was probably they probably made it easier, especially during COVID, when people couldn't work. Um, so yeah, and it's just like, again, the conversation is not um people using Snap. The conversation is people aren't making enough to cover that cost of living when it comes to food, because they're not getting paid enough. That's the conversation. The conversation is about um, low wages. Wages are not keeping up with inflation. Groceries are going up under Trump, and this really pisses me off, because he recently was like giving a speech or whatever, and he's like, grocery prices are down, gas prices are down. And it's like, he just came out lying about the cost of living after Zoran Mamdani uh, won the mayoral election in New York, when his campaign centered around cost of living. And guess what the fuck Zoran was doing? He was saying, this is how we're going to fix it. Whereas Trump, during his campaign, was promising to lower the cost, but his idea was, we're going to deport migrants from this country to bring down your groceries. How the fuck does that help bring down the prices of groceries? That has hurt people, because the cost of groceries are going up. You no longer have people um, no longer have people willing to work on work picking out fruit and vegetables. You have tariffs that are driving up the cost of of imports. There's so many things going on, and Trump is just ruining it. And he just went out there and just blatantly lied. And then you got motherfuckers like, oh, CNN refused to play this Trump speech. Like, Why do you fucking care what CNN does? If you have Newsmax and Fox News playing it, why the hell do you care about CNN? There's so much I could rant about. Oh my god, there's so much. Um, all right. Due to the fact. Oh, I already read that. I had highlighted. Okay. A federal judge directed the Trump administration late last month to use available emergency funds to keep SNAP benefits going. The White House said Monday that it would not be tapping into other funds, calling it an unacceptable risk. What do you mean an unacceptable risk? They were just gonna let people go hungry. A federal judge directed them. Oh God, the administration said it would send out reduced SNAP benefits while noting the process to recalculate could result in significant delays. And I do believe that they will allow this. They will delay this as much as possible. By the way, the White House noted that the fund has 4.65 billion available for households, which is not enough to cover full November benefits, expected to cost upward of 9 billion. That part is true, but it's better than fucking nothing. It's better than fucking nothing. Like they were like the food pantries were preparing for this, and they're going to get crushed. I should have found an article about it. But like people on Snap already go to food pantries anyway because Snap doesn't. If you have multiple, if you got a big family, I mean, if you have children, like food don't last that long, especially you have teenagers, man. That shit doesn't last. I need this to go away. Amid the confusion, the U.S. Department of Agriculture told grocery stores that they were prohibited from offering discounts to SNAP recipients during the shutdown. That's also a sickening part. Um, they told grocery stores they were prohibited from offering discounts to SNAP recipients. They are they. Oh my god! It's just so. It's so disgusting. It's so disgusting. They said they're literally just saying fuck if you are on Snap, fuck you. That is what they have been saying this entire time. Again, they already want to cut it with Project 2025. They want people to go hungry. Why? Because when people are hungry, you can get two things because there's a couple things that they want. One, they want there to be a reason to send in military to places. So if people are hungry, what are people going to do? They're going to go to extreme lengths to get food. That's one thing that they want to have happen. They need an excuse to send in military. Oh god, what was my second point? Oh god, I hate when I do this, when I'm just like using I'm talking about one thing and then I have the other on my mind. Shit. Dang, I forgot my point, guys. But yeah, it's just it's so bad. White House press secretary Caroline Levitt, I hate her, offered some clarification on the White House's plans for SNAP Tuesday afternoon, indicating that partial benefits are still slated to be sent out, albeit with some delay. During a press briefing, CBS News senior White House correspondent Wei Jiajiang, asked Levitt, is her name Levitt or Leave It? I don't know. Let's just leave it alone. Whether the administration planned to distribute the money or defy the court order. No, the administration is fully complying with the court order. I just spoke with the president about it, Leave It said. The recipients of these SNAP benefits need to understand it's going to take some time to receive this money because the Democrats have forced the administration into a very untenable position. We are digging into the contingency fund that is supposed to be for emergencies, catastrophes, for war. And the president does not want to have to tap into the funds in the future, and that's what he has. That's what he was referring to in his Truth Social post. Again, this is an emergency. We're talking about people going hungry. That's an emergency. What the hell? What the fuck do you mean in cases of catastrophes or war? Um, it's fucking ridiculous. And what do you mean the Democrats? It's because of the Democrats. Bitch, your ass could have been saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to just use the contingency funds." You could have said that from the very fucking beginning. They could have said that from the very fucking beginning. They didn't have to do this dance. They're gross, man. I fucking hate them. And they were also talking about how, you know, we're looking into the SNAP program because we need to eliminate fraud or whatever the fuck, and it's just so stupid. It's so stupid. They're playing with people's ability to eat. How disgusting is that? The Department of Agriculture, as for the latest SNAP payment and the judge's orders, put out guidance to states today on how to get that money to the recipients of SNAP, but it's going to take some time, she added. States braced for the anticipated halt in the program that is solely funded by the federal government. Many turned to their own emergency funds, directed residents to food banks, or said plainly that the benefits would not be available beginning in November. An average of 41.7 million people, or 12.3% of the U.S., received SNAP benefits in 2024, with some states and territories more reliant on the program than others. Oof. Yeah, so I wanted to look at this. So here, quickly, is a map of SNAP benefits from the fiscal year 2024, right? So you have some states like Michigan, where Michigan has 14 14% to almost 16% of people on SNAP. Now, Midwest states, you know, they kind of have a reputation, but Michigan, if you don't know Michigan, outside of Southeast Michigan, there's not a lot, right? So a lot of the bigger cities down here, a lot of the industry is down here. The further north you go, the more rural you get. Especially when you come up here to the Upper Peninsula, which is which used to be all mining, basically. So there's that. The Upper Peninsula has lost a lot of industry, but it's trying to gain ground with like smaller businesses. And I just love Northern Michigan. I love Michigan. I'm from there. I'm a Michigan born and bred, baby. Anyways, so these rural areas, a lot of these people voted for Trump, okay? And they're just about to get fucked over by Trump and the Republicans. And the one thing that I want to know, the Republicans are getting creamed in polling when it comes to this government shutdown. 52% of people blame the Republicans over the Democrats. Just remember that. Just remember that. When the Republicans go up there and they say, we are not giving you SNAP benefits because we want the Democrats to do this. Dog, you are playing with people's ability to eat. That is so fucking low. So I know Ohio has Ohio, I looked this up recently. 11% of Ohioans are on SNAP, and again, that's rural areas, as well as the cities. Um, God, what was I gonna say? So when you look at these numbers and you see like there are some red states that where their populations really do depend on SNAP. Louisiana is very reliant on it. Southern states and red states tend to be poorer than the northern states and blue states. Um, and so they some of these states do have a lot more people on SNAP. The ones that don't have as many, like what's this, Kansas. Um, this is due to the hurdles that they put um, on receiving SNAP benefits. They make it harder to get SNAP benefits. They make it harder to retain benefits, and that's why you might see a state that is poorer be not seem as reliant on SNAP. Like Wyoming, for instance, Wyoming has more cows than fucking people, so there's a reason why they have less people on SNAP. A lot of these, like North Dakota doesn't have a lot of people. All right. um Minnesota, outside of the big cities, there's, it's it's very population based. Okay. And it's also based on what kind of things you need to do to retain receiving SNAP benefits. New Mexico is one that has a lot of people reliant on it. Again, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Oregon is one of those states. Oregon is, I believe, purple state, mostly red, and the areas outside of the big cities. Um, so yeah, there's just it just depends on the state as to how easy it is to receive benefits and keep them, and how hard it is to get it and retain it. That's the nature of the game. When really we either expand it, or we make it so that everyone is paid a living wage. That you know what I mean. That helps. It's a social safety net that is a very important social safety net, and it should never be abolished. It needs to stay, because there's always going to be people falling on hard times. But meanwhile, we have to spend, like, during the shutdown, we're still spending money on fucking bombing boats and bailing out Argentina and buying Argentinian beef. Cattle ranchers are fucked over. Soybean farmers are fucked over. It's like, oh, I broke it, but now I fixed it. So next year you can sell your crops to China. What about fucking this year, man? It just it pisses me off to no end that the Republicans can just say, "Oh yeah, we broke all this shit, but we actually care about people." Like, no, you fucking don't. Here's some more stats. Alabama. Um. Okay. Whom does SNAP reach in federal fiscal year 2024? It helped. I don't know. I don't actually know. Oh, because it's on Alabama. That's why. So in Alabama, helped 752,000 Alabama residents, or 15% of the state population. That's 1 in 7. That's a red state. So I'm glad it's on Alabama. 41 million, 41.6 million, almost 7. It's 7 participants in the United States, 12% of the population. In Alabama, 67% of the SNAP participants are in families with children. More than 39% are in families with members who are older adults or disabled, and more than 35% are in working families. Again, that doesn't really take into account the people that are older adults living on their own or disabled. Let's see. More nationally, we did that. More than 38% in working families. Most SNAP participants in Alabama have incomes below the poverty line. Share of the participants by household income fiscal year. Income at or below 50% of poverty line is 38%. Income between 51 and 100% of poverty, 45. And income above 100% of the poverty line. One thing that the Republicans want to do is move it so that you have to be like 150% of the poverty line. Like, they want to do some really terrible things. Average SNAP benefit in nominal dollars, fiscal year 2024 for each household member per month, 192. For each household member per day is $6.31, $6.31. SNAP is not a drain on our society. Deciding that you're, going to bomb boats in the Caribbean, now that's a drain on society. Inflating the military budget, that's a drain on society. People don't like war. People don't want to spend all this money on the military. People are in medical debt, man. I wanted to look at New Mexico because New Mexico is especially bad. 451,000 New Mexico residents, or 21% of the state. That's 1 in 5 people in New Mexico need help to buy food. That's a fucking failure of our society. 61% of SNAP are in families with children. 31% are family members who are older adults or are disabled. 43% are in working families. It's fucking disgusting. Look at Missouri, which is the random one. 656,000 Missouri residents, or 11% of the state population, 1 in 10. 41. Okay, yeah. 68% of them are in families with children. 34 family with members who are older or disabled. And 38% are in working families. Again, the vast majority of people on SNAP are working. The others that are not working are disabled or their kids. So it's like you're just advocating not to feed these people. All right, I want to move on. I didn't mean to go on a huge diatribe about it, but god damn, man, this shit it gets me heated. So yeah, I wanted to move this over here. Talk about healthcare. The government shutdown, and this is from NPR. The government shutdown is now the longest in U.S. history. The ongoing 36-day closure has sparked disputes over a range of topics, from the separation of powers in the federal workforce to food assistance and air traffic control. But at the heart of the impasse is debate about healthcare, specifically expiring subsidies for health insurance premiums purchased on the Affordable Care Act marketplace. This is extremely important because this helps every American, not just people who vote for the Democrats. It's not just for the libs, okay? It's for everybody. It is for the Republican constituents as well, who they are actively trying to fuck over just to own the libs. Again, I've been saying this on Twitter. Conservatives will shit their pants in order to own the libs. That is how they operate right now. And they're moving further and further to the right. They're doing all this shit to really, really fuck with people. Democrats have gone all in on their fight to preserve subsidies, withholding votes 14 times for a Republican-backed short-term spending measure, even as shutdown pain ratchets up with flight cancellations, delayed SNAP benefits, and missed paychecks for federal workers. That's the other side of this that I don't know how I forgot to mention. The federal workers that they have laid off, federal workers that aren't being paid, like the Republicans are contributing to the problem. They're cutting off their noses to spite their face every step of the way. They've been tapping in to the Pentagon reserves, contingency funds to pay military personnel, but they were going to let people fucking starve. I can't believe that. And they're laying people off, further adding to the problem where people cannot afford to pay rent and pay bills and buy food. It is fucking insane. I feel like I feel like I'm living in some kind of like simulation of like just the worst people in government making everything terrible for people. Though Republicans have insisted that they will not negotiate on the subsidies until government reopens, some members are calling for them to be preserved. The stalemate has underscored the Affordable Care Act debate's lasting imprint on Washington. More than 15 years after it was signed into law, clashes over health care have continued to animate pivotal moments in American politics, for consequential elections, to paper thin votes in Congress, and even a past government shutdown in 2013. Now the debate has stoked a record-long shutdown just ahead of the midterm elections in 2026, when healthcare could once again shape the results. Another thing that I want to mention is like the Republicans have been fighting tooth and nail to get rid of the Affordable Care Act since its passing, and they have not once proposed something better. Not once. I think the Affordable Care Act is a band-aid solution. It does not go far enough. There's a gnat in my face. It does not go far enough. And at the very inception, it was based on everybody paying into it to keep things low, and people did not, right? That's why they created the subsidies, to keep it low. The subsidies, albeit worked for something that just doesn't go far enough, but it has kept people able to purchase healthcare. And overall, like when you say the Affordable Care Act, people have a much better response than when you say Obamacare, because people understand that they need healthcare, and that in having this healthcare marketplace where the premiums are subsidized, um, for them to pay smaller amounts throughout the year is beneficial for them. And Republicans have been actively trying to take it away while giving nothing to replace it. They want to go back to an old system where people were regularly denied health insurance because of some pre-existing condition, or they just didn't want you. They found you to be a liability somehow. They would just cut off your healthcare access if they were now losing money off of your treatments. So they would just leave you to die. If you have never seen the Michael Moore documentary on this, I urge you to watch that. That will break your soul, and you will understand why it is so important to give people health care. People should not have to fucking die. They should not have to go into medical debt to be able to live a healthy life and to live life with their families. It's so fucking frustrating that we live in this society that just puts profit over people every step of the fucking way. Can we please do something about this? Why some Obamacare critics want to extend the subsidies. For more than a month, Democrats have refused to back a government funding measure without an agreement to extend subsidies for ACA marketplace plans, which expire at the end of the year. That has left Republicans in a tricky position. While the party broadly dislikes the law, some in Congress have begun to acknowledge they may be stuck with it. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a great example of this. They might bring her up. Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, yeah, nah, healthcare is too expensive. Healthcare is too expensive, and I need the Republicans to do something about it because my constituents are hurting. She's right. I can't stand Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like that lady is so unhinged. I mean, she'll go one day like, "Oh, the skies are clear because the government is shut down and they're not spraying chemicals in the air," to being like, "Hey, we need to do something about the expensive healthcare system that we have." I'm sorry. What? It's mind-boggling. It's so stupid. This is a big deal in my district, said Rep. Jeff Hurd, Republican in Colorado. I've heard from a number of people who are facing dramatic increases. Hurd says without the subsidies, constituents in his heavily rural district could lose health care coverage. Like most in the party, Hurd says reopening the government has to come first. He is also one of more than a dozen House Republicans who signed onto a letter calling for them to be preserved. And along with a pair of Democrats, Hurd and Rep. Don Bacon, Republican from Nebraska, outlined a bipartisan framework this week to temporarily extend the subsidies. The Democrats' tactic is working. It's working, and they are winning the messaging war on this. And but they have to come at it stronger. They do. They really have to come strong. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer just are not strong communicators. Let's see. Even the conservative firebrand, yep, there she goes. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican of Georgia, has called for keeping them, despite her sharp criticism of Obamacare, saying cost of healthcare is a top issue in her deep red district. The toothpaste is out of the tube, Greene wrote on X this month. When the Affordable Care Act passed with zero Republican votes, this kind of acceptance would have been hard to imagine. Fights over the ACA helped fuel a 2013 shutdown. Senator Ted Cruz, Republican, disgusting, hate him, held the Senate floor for more than 21 hours, railing against Obamacare and memorably reading from Dr. Seuss's Green Eggs and Ham, which I mean he would his side would then go to call Dr. Seuss woke like a couple of years later. Former Republican House Majority Leader Eric Cantor says backlash against the law helped give birth to the Tea Party and later the Make America Great Again movement. There was a lot of trepidation as to what Obamacare was going to mean, Cantor said in an interview with NPR. Whether you were going to be able to keep your doctor, whether there were going to be death panels, and honestly, a concern about the unknown. I can't get over the fucking death panels, man. They were like when Obama won, they were talking about people being put into like FEMA camps and shit. Now you got Trump just doing doing it. He's doing. His administration is also pushing, like I said earlier, to do like labor camps for the homeless. Like it's fucking mind blowing. What are we doing? You've got Fox News hosts on live TV saying like we should just kill the homeless. I cannot. I think that was Brian Kilmeade. I don't. I think it was Brian Kilmeade. Just insane shit. Insane shit. Over the years, Republicans repeatedly tried to repeal and replace Obamacare. We still face opposition from within our own ranks, said former Representative Fred Upton, Republican from Michigan, who chaired a key committee that tried to work on a substitute. Here we are today, and there's still no alternative. It's been 15 years. It's not going to go away. Exactly. They have nothing. Trump on the campaign trail said he had the concept of a plan. There was nothing there. Just take away the ACA. Today, Upton says letting the subsidies expire could be disastrous for many Michiganders. This is true. It would be disastrous. So the fact that he could say that, but Mike Johnson is just hell bent on letting people die for some reason, even his own constituents. It's just like it's insane, and he's protecting pedophiles. That's what he's busy doing. He won't swear in a duly elected representative for the simple fact that he has put Congress on recess. He's put the House on recess, and he doesn't want to swear in the elected representative because then the Democrats have a way to push for the release of the Epstein files. It's mind blowing. Even House Speaker Mike Johnson has acknowledged that Obamacare is unlikely to be repealed. Yeah, no shit, Johnson. Bitch ass. Johnson and other Republicans, including President Trump, who talked about concepts of a plan to replace the ACA during presidential debate last fall, have struggled to articulate concrete reforms. These ideas have been on paper for a long time, Johnson said recently. There's volumes of this stuff. We've been working on it since day one of this Congress. They have nothing. Polls show the majority of Republicans still oppose Obamacare, but the law's popularity has grown, says Ashley Kissinger, Director of Survey Methodology at the Health Policy Organization KFF. More than half of Marketplace enrollees live in Republican congressional districts. Again, the Democrats are not just protecting their own voters, they are protecting Republican voters. Who the Republicans are like, yeah, no, fuck them. We're just going to take everything away. They're more likely to live in rural areas, to own a small business, or be farmers, she said. An October survey of competitive congressional districts by Republican pollster John McLaughlin, who has worked with Trump during each of his campaigns, also found overwhelming support for extending the subsidies. He says that the results have been put in front of top advisors at the White House. Voters are definitely more likely to vote for somebody who's going to support a healthcare tax credit than that they can use versus those who might oppose it, McLaughlin said in an interview. Some Democrats hoped Trump would get involved and cut a deal on subsidies to end the shutdown, but Trump has continued to bash Obamacare and has yet to embrace an extension for subsidies. He instead is going around throwing Great Gatsby parties while people are about to go hungry and people are about to lose their health care. So that just shows you how much he cares about the Americans. He gives zero fucks. And many rank and file Republicans remain skeptical of the Affordable Care Act, including Senator Bill Cassidy, Republican of Louisiana, gastroenterologist. Obamacare has become the Unaffordable Care Act, Cassidy said, and the reforms that were supposed to lower costs are now being papered over with more and more subsidies. Who gives a fuck? Then do a public option. Do Medicare for all. If it's so bad, why are they not saying let's just do away with private insurers and implement a universal health care program? It could be that simple. Hurd, and a Colorado congressman, agrees that the subsidies only address symptoms of the ballooning cost of the healthcare. Still, he says extending them is an imperative for him and many colleagues, and hopes this can also be an opportunity for bipartisan conversation about healthcare, whether it's something they're public about or not. If you're genuinely serious about serving your constituents, this ought to be something on your radar screen, Hurd said. How much more we got? We got quite a bit. I do need to move on. We are at an hour. I want to talk about where is it? Medical debt, real quick, because medical debt is a huge problem in this country. It affects so many Americans, and it affects their credit scores as well. America is in an affordability crisis. This is from MSNBC. Can I highlight? Oh, you fucking kidding me? That's annoying. Okay. Electricity bills are rising at twice the rate of inflation. Grocery prices are soaring. Tariffs are squeezing families at every turn. And in a few weeks, more than 24 million Americans will see their healthcare premiums skyrocket. That is, unless Republicans in Congress Congress act to extend tax credit subsidizing plans under the Affordable Care Act. If the credits expire, the average premium for the ACA marketplace plan will be more than double. A 60-year-old couple making $85K who get their health insurance through the ACA exchanges will see their out-of-pocket costs exceed $22,000 next year, more than a quarter of their entire income. And all across the country, premiums are increasing for employer-sponsored coverage and Medicare plans as well. Excuse me. The spike in premiums won't just blow an even bigger hole in families' future budgets. It will pour gasoline on the already raging fire of medical debt in this country, and government leaders at all levels are not prepared for it. More than 100 million Americans, think about that. There's 330 million Americans. It's like 300. It's around 330 million. That's a little bit more now. But 100 million, that's a third of the fucking country. That's a lot of fucking people. Has some sort of medical debt or dental debt for more than 15 million. That debt exceeds $1,000. Medical debt is especially pernicious because it almost always comes from circumstances beyond our control, like an illness or injury. No matter how much families plan, save, and search for the best health insurance they can afford, a Byzantine and profit maximizing system of hospitals, providers, insurance companies, and middlemen leaves Americans scrambling to understand what care they can get and how much they owe, much less how they can afford it. The fact that an MSNBC article actually points that out is kind of crazy to me. Good job on them. Good fucking job, because this is a sickening system that hurts everybody. Am I actually highlighting? I can't tell. When millions of people get notices about their premiums doubling on November 1st, they'll be faced with the choice to either go uninsured or enroll in plans with higher deductibles and higher premiums. Both scenarios leave families one fall on the playground or one expected trip to the doctor away from massive bills. I want to point out that last year I got a couple of vaccines, and I paid those off for months. I also got really sick, and when it didn't seem like I was getting any better, I went in to emergency room just to get a check because it didn't seem like I was getting better. That also I was paying months for. I was paying for months. This and like that was like a small bill. Like they were each like each bill was like $400. So I ended up paying $800 extra to do things that I needed to do, and that's fucking crazy. When I worked when I worked on this issue at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFBP, which the Trump administration is destroying, the Biden administration, during the Biden administration, we discovered that over half of all debts that were put on credit reports involved medical debt. Even more galling, we found that the medical debts reflected on credit reports are often wrong. So then they're just destroying your fucking credit scores, and you need good credit to get loans, to buy a house, to buy a car, to do all kinds of things. Studies show that the vast majority, close to 80% of medical debt reports, have some sort of error. This causes millions of people to be harassed by debt collectors into paying bills they don't actually owe. Ooh. The psychological and financial toll that debt takes means that people worry about incurring more, so they avoid going to the doctor. Exactly. You should not have to be scared to go to the doctor. And when you don't get preventative care, that means if something happens, it's going to be far worse, and often end up sicker and with bigger bills than if they hadn't had debt in the first place. This creates a spiral of health and economic hardship that has ensnared tens of millions of Americans. Medical debt begets more medical debt. Just think then of the ticking time bomb created by unprecedented healthcare cuts the Republicans and Donald Trump have spent their first year in office enacting, which will push more than 15 million people off their health coverage. Forcing Obamacare costs to spike will throw millions off their coverage, pushing them closer to the brink of financial ruin just to stay healthy. Trump's actions are a slap in the face to tens of millions of voters who were promised that inflation would be solved on day one. In poll after poll, Americans list the cost of living and the economy as their number one concern. And Donald Trump and Republicans have done nothing but jack up prices through tariffs, just doing a regressive tax on people. And it's hurting their pockets, creating economic instability that's brought the job market to a screeching halt and eviscerating the social safety net while giving wealthy corporations a massive tax break. I cannot believe this is coming from MSNBC, actually. This is true. I think I mentioned layoffs earlier in this video, and it's insane the amount of people that have lost their jobs recently. Tens of thousands of people in different sectors. They've lost their healthcare because they lost their job. Federal workers, they've lost their healthcare because they lost their jobs. You fired them just to say fuck you to the Democrats. Now, large corporations are poised to benefit from Trump's healthcare agenda, with medical debt set to skyrocket as premium increases and Medicaid cuts take effect. Debt collectors, medical credit, and credit card providers, and companies selling predatory financial products will have even more opportunities to squeeze a few more dollars out of stressed and cash-strapped patients. For the typical family already struggling to deal with a confusing healthcare system that's stacked against them, it could be insurmountable. It doesn't have to be this way. America is the only wealthy country in the world in which getting sick can also mean going broke. If Trump and the Republicans really cared about healthcare and well-being of working families, they would take steps to make healthcare more affordable and medical debt a thing of the past. At the very least, they wouldn't be writing a blank check to debt collectors and big corporations. Who is this by? Who wrote this article? Julie Margetta Morgan. Julie Margetta Morgan, president of the Century Foundation. Interesting. All right. Where are we at? Okay. So, a couple more things to talk about. I wanted to talk about the threat to home heating. As we are all well aware, the it's getting colder. As we're all aware, it's getting colder. It's late fall now, and there are millions of Americans who cannot afford to pay their heating bills. Um, as the cost of energy goes up, it's going to be harder, and this government shutdown is affecting the assistance that people receive to heat their homes, heat that they need because it's getting fucking cold outside, and if you don't, you have the possibility of freezing to death in your own goddamn home. And this is just another sickening part of this. Republicans don't give a shit, but there has not been enough noise about this, and so I wanted to bring it up. All right, Hartford, Connecticut. Jacqueline Chapman is a retired school aide who relies on a $630 monthly Social Security check to get by. She was navigating the loss of her federal food aid benefits when she learned the assistance she received for heating her Philadelphia apartment may also be at risk. Sorry, this is Hartford, Connecticut AP. I have I feel like I'm living in scary times. It's not easy to rest when you know you have things to do with limited accounts, limited funds. There isn't too much you can do, said Chapman, 74. Chapman relies on the 4.1 billion low-income home energy assistance program, which helps millions of low-income households pay to heat and cool their homes. With temperatures beginning to drop in the areas across the United States, some states are warning that funding for the program is being delayed because of the federal government shutdown, now in its fifth week. I think this was written last week. We're in the sixth week of it. The anticipated delay comes as a majority of the 5.9 million households served by the federally funded Heating and Cooling Assistance Program are grappling with the sudden postponement of benefits. Through the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, which helps about 1 in 8 Americans buy groceries, money is running out for other safety net programs as well, and energy prices are soaring. Yes, this is I can't stress enough just how many people are affected by the Republicans being absolute evil assholes. The impact I just had a thought, and it's just I can't, I'm not going to share it. The impact, even if it's temporary, on many of the nation's poor families is going to be profound if we don't solve this problem, said Mark Wolf, executive director of the National Energy Assistant Director Association, which represents state directors of the program, commonly called the LIHEAP, the LIHEAP. It serves all 50 states, the District of Columbia, U.S. territories, and federally recognized tribes. These are important income supports that are all potentially heading toward a cliff at the same time, Wolf said, and I can't point to a similar time in recent history where we've had this. States are warning applicants about funding delay. The LIHEAP, created in 1981, assists families in covering utility bills or the cost of paying for fuels delivered to homes, such as home heating oil. It has received bipartisan congressional support for decades. States manage the program. They receive an allotment of federal money each year based on a formula that largely takes into account state weather patterns, energy costs, and low-income population data. While President Donald Trump proposed zero funding for the program in his budget, it was anticipated that Congress would fund LIHEAP for the budget year that began October 1st. But since Congress has not yet passed a full 2026 spending bill, states have not gotten their new allocations yet. Some states, including Kansas, Pennsylvania, New York, and Minnesota, have announced their LIHEAP programs are being delayed by the government shutdown. In Pennsylvania, Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro administration said it cannot front the $200 million plus dollars in federal LIHEAP aid it had expected to help pay heating bills for some 300,000 low-income households. It is predicting payments will not go out until at least December instead of November, as is customary. This is a big problem. It gets cold very fast. Out that way. All right, it gets it before you know it. Before you know it, by the end of November, the temperature could be in the single digits. That is not good. That is not good, especially for the homes that have children and the elderly. This is not a good sign. Something needs to happen. Minnesota's Energy Assistance Program is processing applications, but the state's Department of Commerce said that the LIHEAP dollars will likely be delayed by a month. The agency does not plan to pay recipients heating bills until the shutdown ends, but then they can do this. They can force energy providers not to cut off the energy of these homes, and also not charge them for the additional month, because this is a necessity. This should not be about a profit motive. This should not be about the profit motive. If you make it about the profit motive, you're disgusting. People should not have to freeze. As temperatures begin to drop, this delay could have serious impacts. The agency said the program serves 120,000 households, both homeowners and renters, that include many older adults, young children, and people with disabilities. There you go. Connecticut has enough money to set aside to pay heating bills through at least the end of November or December, according to the group that helps administer LIHEAP. But the program faces uncertainty if the shutdown persists. Connecticut lawmakers are considering covering the cost temporarily with state budget reserves. How about you just force these fucking companies to just deal with the fact that they are not going to get paid for a month? The situation will get much more perilous for folks who do need these resources as we move later into the heating season, said Rhonda Evans, executive director of the Connecticut Association for Community Action. More than 100,000 households were served last year. A spokesperson for the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, which oversees the assistance program, blamed the federal shutdown and the delay in LIHEAP payments on congressional Democrats, and said the Trump administration is committed to reopening the government. No, they are not. Trump won't even fucking meet. He went on an Asia tour while people were getting ready to starve, and then came back, had a great Gatsby party while people were getting ready to starve, while people are getting ready to freeze, while people are getting laid off, while people are while Head Start programs are closing because they don't have their funding. Now people who were getting what little they could by working, they couldn't afford child care. They got some child care. They got to go work for for a wage that doesn't pay all the bills. Now those programs are closing, and what are they gonna do with their children? Like, do they take them to wherever they work? Like, it's all crumbling at the moment, and Trump is throwing parties, dude. The fuck. Once the government reopens, ACF will work swiftly to administer annual awards, the spokesperson said, referring to the administration for children and families, an agency within HHS. The spokesperson did not directly answer whether the timing could be affected by the administration's earlier decision to fire workers who run the LIHEAP program. That's the other fucking part to it. They keep fucking firing people from these agencies, and it makes the process take so much longer. They're breaking things. They're just breaking. That's all they fucking do, at the expense of all their constituents and every American. God damn. Wolf from the group that represents state program directors predicts there could be delays into January. He noted that there are questions over who will approve states' program plans, and how the money will be released when it becomes available. Once you fire the staff, things just slow down, and that is by design. Low-income families face mounting obstacles. Chapman, the retired school aide, may be eligible for a program through her gas utility to prevent being shut off this winter. No, the state needs to come in and say, you cannot charge these people for this month or the next 2 months or something, because this government shutdown is affecting their ability to do so, and they come before your fucking profits. But the rough 9% of LIHEAP recipients who rely on deliverable fuels such as heating oil, kerosene, propane, and wood pellets typically do not have such protections. Electric and natural gas companies are usually regulated by the state and can be told not to shut people off while the state waits to receive its share of the LIHEAP money. Will said, but it's different when it involves a small oil or propane company. Fuels more common in the Northeast. Okay, so they pointed out my point. Now, the other part to this is, yes, the small oil and propane companies aren't aren't working in the same way. What they could do is say, hey, we will front the or not front the bill, but take note of your supply and how much is owed. The state will reimburse you down the line for this because people are in need, and that comes first. If you're a heating oil dealer, you can't tell that dealer, look, continue to provide heating oil to your low income customers on the possibility you'll get your money back. Yes, you fucking can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Or you use what the like it said earlier, whatever the states have in reserves can be used to pay those bills. Yes, you can. Yes, you fucking can do that. It is okay to do that. They will get their fucking money. Make sure these people are able to heat their homes. Mark Bain, 67, who lives in Bloomfield, Connecticut with his son, a student at the University of Connecticut, started receiving financial assistance on his home heating oil needs 3 years ago. I remember the first winter before I knew about this program. I was desperate. I was on fumes, said Baines, who is retired and relies on income from Social Security and a small annuity. I was calling around to my social service people to find out what I could do. He has been approved for this year for $500 in assistance, but he has half a tank of oil left and cannot call for more until it is nearly empty. By that point, he is hoping there will be enough federal money left to fill it. He typically needs 3 deliveries to get through a winter. Baines said he can get by if he does not receive help this year. I would turn the heat down to like 62 degrees and throw on another blanket, just to get through, he said. That's so sickening, dude. Just to get through. It's so sad. It's so sad. Let's read about Head Start programs real quick, and then um, we might not even get through this whole article as I'm at an hour 20, but I really wanted to talk about these things today. The government shutdown is triggering a wave of closures of Head Start centers, leaving working parents scrambling to find childcare and shutting some of the nation's neediest children out of preschool. There's two elements to this. One, you affect parents' ability to work. Childcare is very important for this reason. If you want people to work, you need to provide a place for them to send their children for the day, whether it's school or it's childcare, it's daycares or preschools, right? You have to do that. Um, the other side is that it harms children who are not able to get into these programs and go through early childhood education, which gives opportunity for a better overall outcome later in life. Dozens of centers are missing out on federal grant payments that were due to arrive November 1st. Some have closed indefinitely, while others are staying afloat with emergency funding from local government and school districts. The closures means Head Start students who come from low-income households are homeless or in foster care are missing out on preschool, where they are fed 2 meals a day and receive therapy vital to their development. The Head Start program is so goddamn important, and it's why it's been running for 60 goddamn years. Kayleana Porter, a mother of three in Portsmouth, Ohio, had to break the news to her 4-year-old twins, Kalani and Kanaliana, that they could not return to school Monday. It was like I was punishing them, Porter said. They just don't understand, and that's the hardest thing. So fucking despicable, dude. Typically, Porter cares for her youngest daughter at home and runs a small business selling homemade bows, and decorative charms badge for work badge lanyards. With the local Head Start closed and all three girls at home, she had to pause orders. Children love school, and the fact that they can't go is breaking their hearts, says Sarah Sloan, who oversees a Head Start center in Portsmouth and surrounding Scioto County, Ohio. It's hampering our family's ability to put food on the table and to know that their children are safe during the day. A half dozen Head Start programs never received grants that were anticipated in October, but there are now 140 programs that have not received their annual infusion of federal funding. All told, the programs have capacity to assist 65,000 preschoolers and expectant parents. Centers across the country serve at least 8,000 families were closed Monday, according to the National Head Start Association. Every Head Start Center is a little every Head Start Center in Little Rock, Arkansas closed, as well as several rural programs in Ohio, Iowa, and Florida. Head Start programs that serve the children of farm workers who move seasonally were hit especially hard. More than 1,100 children in Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Alabama, and Oklahoma were shut out of the centers run by the East Coast Migrant Head Start Project, said CEO Javier Gonzalez. About 900 staff members across the centers have also been furloughed. Without care, some parents may need and may keep an older sibling home from school to babysit. Others may resort to bringing their young child to the fields where they work, Gonzalez said. Pause and food aid compounds struggle for Head Start families. Many of the families that qualify for federal preschool program also depend on food aid through the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, better known as SNAP or food stamps. That program also was on track to run dry of money due to the shutdown, although a pair of federal judges on Friday ordered the Trump administration to keep the program running with emergency funds. That means many Head Start programs have been worried about food aid along with the childcare they rely on to make ends meet. A day without childcare means a day without work from my parents and a day without pay. Having his 10-month-old daughter Maxie in early Head Start in Clinton, Iowa, opened up a new chapter for Jackson Leibfraud, who had stayed at home since Maxie was born, while his spouse worked as a Burger King manager. The 22-year-old had started applying for jobs, but when he learned the Head Start program, or Head Start was closing Monday, it meant putting his job aspirations on hold. There are so many levels to this with childcare. I've done a video on this. If you made it this far in the video, please go check that out because I do talk about this aspect. It's stressful because I really want to get back into working for a long time. I wanted to get back working for a long time. But now it feels like I don't even have the option anymore. The family was already dealing with uncertainty because of the then looming cuts in funding for SNAP, which they rely on for their groceries. Before the shutdown, Liebfreud said his family would visit one food pantry in their town monthly. Now they go to all three food pantries once a month, in addition to asking friends to pick up food from the pantries to make sure they have enough for Maxie, he said. Only, and they, Republicans will look at this guy and say, get a job, man. What do you mean? The fuck do you mean, get a job? Republicans are creating so many hurdles for people just to get by. And they don't want to talk about, oh, the Democrats are communist Marxists for wanting people to have their basic needs met. It's like, nah, dude, fuck that. The Democrats don't go far enough. I wish they would call themselves socialists and communists and actually implement things that would help people. God damn, dude. Only having to focus on giving her dinner and snacks after school was so much easier than having to make sure that we have enough food for her to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner and more snacks. Lee Freud said of Head Start's meal service, which provides breakfast and lunch to enrolled children. Some centers stay open for now. Launched 6 decades ago as part of the President Lyndon B. Johnson's War on Poverty, Head Start programs provide a range of services beyond early education, such as medical and dental screenings, school meals, and family support to children from low-income households who can't afford other childcare options. The initiative is funded almost entirely by the federal government, leaving it with little cushions from funding disruptions. Some that have missed out on grant payments have managed to remain open with philanthropies, school districts, and local governments filling in gaps. Others are relying on fast dwindling reserves and warn they can't keep their doors open for much longer. If the government doesn't open back up, we will be providing less services each week. Reka Strong, who has a social service nonprofit that runs Head Start centers in southern Washington state. She's already had to close one center and several classrooms to cut back home-based visiting services. It feels more bleak every day. In Florida, Head Start centers in Tallahassee and surrounding Leon County closed October 27th, but then reopened the next day thanks to a grant from Children's Service Councils of Leon County. The local school district and churches have stepped up to provide meals for the children. It takes a village to raise a child, and our village has come together, said Nina Self, interim CEO of Capital Area Community Action Agency. But children in rural Jefferson and Franklin counties, where the agencies run 2 small Head Start centers, were not as lucky. They've been closed since late October. You know what this part reminds me of? It reminds me of like those those news on local news stations, like, oh, here's this 10-year-old who's raising money to pay off lunch debt of his classmates. Why the fuck is there a lunch debt, dude? That's not a feel good story. This is not a feel good part of the story. The fact that we have such poverty in this country is just beyond me. It's a failure. It's a failure. And like, just fucking over children is a moral failure of our country, specifically of the Republicans, because they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. They never have. Yeah, man. I want to see better from the Democrats. They have so much that they could hammer the Republicans on. They just need the fucking balls to do it. So, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, balls up, man. Get in horse stance, balls up, and get it the fuck done. All right. Holy shit. And not just them. Every Democrat can be on this. Every Democrat can be on this. You just hammer away. Hammer away. Tell the people exactly what the Republicans are doing. A lot of this is in Project 2025. They already plan to cut it. They plan to cut Head Start in Project 2025. They plan to cut SNAP in 2025. They plan to cut 800 billion from Medicaid in Project 2025. They plan to fire thousands, hundreds of thousands of federal employees in 2025. They planned on making this shit so much worse. So, yeah, that's going to be it from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all next week, hopefully. And stay safe. I'm personally going to try to not even try. I am going to volunteer at food pantries near me, because I just the system is failing, and I want to do what I can to help people. Like, right now I'm fortunate enough that I can afford to get by, along with my partner. So yeah. But all right, guys, take it easy.